matter. So we'll continue with that. So yeah, say a prayer for Robin Cooklick.
Did you did?
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, the recording is on. Great. All right. Yeah. So when we found out this morning, to finish the story, that Tim would be at the hospital, I volunteered to put together a talk, and I was already signed up to give a talk, one in April and one in May, and so had already been starting my studies of my new love. Don't tell my husband. But I've really sort of fallen in love with Miaozong. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about her. She's a 12th century Chinese Buddhist nun, abbess, and she's famous for being one of the first officially recognized female Chinese Zen, masters in history. She's known for her literary as well as her religious achievements. And as was the case with many of the women teachers, much of her writing, much of her teachings were lost. A little bit was salvaged. There are some verses that she wrote in response to kind of classic koans that were preserved. But much of what we really know about her is from her teacher, Dahui Changhua. He actually wrote quite a bit about her. And so between what he wrote and another monk of the time named Tanshui, who also quoted and told stories about her, we can sort of piece together a biographical portrait, a painting of what her life was. Miaozong came from a very wealthy, respected, and scholarly family. And it's assumed because she was born into such a family that she was well educated in Chinese history and literature, philosophy, and poetry. And it's also understood that by the time she was an adolescent, she was already asking questions, like deep questions, pondering, what are we before birth? And what will we be after we die? She was, from an early age, already on a quest, so to speak, connected with what we call bodhicitta, a passion for knowing what's unknowable. Her awakening was sparked at an early age. But what was expected of women among that class and stature was that marriage would be arranged, and for Miaozong to an illustrious man. She obliged, she married, but even so, she remained strong in her quest to know the mystery. During her early years, many of her years as a wife, she continued to visit prominent Chan monks in search of spiritual guidance. And this is where I want to interject. This is what I love about her. She was truly a woman of chutzpah. You know what the word chutzpah means. My Jewish roots are showing. Chutzpah is a Yiddish word which means she was gutsy. She was really gutsy. There's a story told by John Shu about when she was questioned by one of the masters she visited. He asked, "How can a woman from inner quarters expect to engage in matters of great gentlemen?" And you know what her reply was? Is the Bodhidharma divided into male and female forms? Apparently, she was victorious in this Dharma exchange, and it's said later by her teacher, Dahui, that Miaozong received confirmation of her enlightenment by each and every one of the Chan masters that she visited. Dahui was clearly a big fan. I want to say more about him. He was her primary teacher, how they met, and their relationship. Are you having? Okay, I'll try to talk louder. Also, feel free to come closer. Miaozong and Dahui first met in Jiha, where Miaozong's husband had been assigned an official post. So, of course, they moved there. Dahui was passing through on his way to a nearby monastery, and when Miaozong heard of his visit, she, of course, paid him a visit. She approached him. She bowed to him. She said nothing, and she went on her way. Later, Dahui remarked to his accompanying monk, "The laywoman that visited me has definitely seen something as startling as a ghost or a spirit. However, because she is not yet to face the hammer and tongs, the forge and the bellows, like a 10,000-ton ship blocked in a harbor, she is still unable to move." You want me to say that again? "The laywoman that visited me has definitely seen something as startling as a ghost or a spirit. However, because she is not yet to face the hammer and tongs, the forge and the bellows, like a 10,000-ton ship blocked in a harbor, she's still unable to move." So in other words, Dahui recognized that she had already emerged on the path of awakening, right? She stood out to him as her light was caught in his vision, but without the guidance of a teacher, he remarked, she could go no further, stuck like the ship blocked in a harbor. The next day, possibly at Miaozong's urging, her husband invited Dahui to offer a public Dharma talk. This was customary among visiting monks. Again, according to Tanshu's account, Dahui recognized the spark that was alive in Miaozong. He said, "Today among you there is a person who has seen something. I inspect people as would a customs official. No sooner do I see them coming than I know whether they have dutiable goods or not." So he recognized something in this woman. Her strong flame, her flame to know the truth. He recognized her as someone who's looked beyond the world of duality. And Miaozong knew that he was speaking about her. After his talk, she approached Dahui and requested to receive a Dharma name. This was her way of requesting to be his disciple. Dahui gave her the name of Wuzhou, which means non-attachment. Miaozong studied as a laywoman for many years with Dahui. It was in 1163, after Dahui had died, and presumably after her husband had also died, that she was ordained a nun. And though it was assumed that she might spend the rest of her life practicing as a hermit, She was already known and respected for her spiritual discipline and achievements, so she was asked to serve as abbess of Zashao, a nunnery located outside a city we know today as Shanghai. So there she served as an abbess. A brief history of her life. Enough about history. I want to spend a little time exploring what she has to teach us. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll be giving a Dharma talk again, one in April and one in May, and I'll continue because there's so much to learn. I'm going to read you a story about her from The Hidden Lamp, a story of women ancestors, a book about stories of women ancestors. It was compiled by Florence Capwell and Sue Moon. This story is called Miaozong's Dharma Interview. Before Miaozong became a nun, she used to visit Master Dahui in his monastery to study with him, and he gave her a room in the abbot's quarters. The senior monk, Wanan, did not approve. Dahui said to him, "Although she's a woman, she has outstanding merits." Wanan still disapproved, so Dahui urged him to have an interview with Miaozong. Wanan reluctantly agreed and requested the interview. Miaozong said, "Do you want a Dharma interview or a worldly interview?" "A Dharma interview," replied Wanan. Miaozong said, "Then send your attendants away." She went into the room first, and after a few moments, she called, "Please come in." When Wanan entered, he saw Miaozong lying naked on her back on the bed. He pointed at her genitals, saying, "What is this place?" Miaozong replied, "All the Buddhas of the 3 worlds, the 6 patriarchs, and all great monks everywhere came out of this place." Wanan said, "And may I enter?" Miaozong replied, "Horses may cross, asses may not." Wanan was unable to reply. Miaozong declared, "I have met you, senior monk. The interview is over." She turned her back to him. Wanan left, ashamed. Later, Dahui said to him, "The old woman has some wisdom, doesn't she?" See what I mean? A little bit of chutzpah. Miaozong is fierce. She's fierce and she's vulnerable. She's fearless, completely wide open. She embodies strength and she knows her power. Miaozong's nakedness can be likened to the nakedness of Zazen. Sitting Zazen, nothing is hidden. We are completely open, fearlessly vulnerable, grounded in the body. She's not afraid of intimacy with herself or intimacy with Wanan. She is fearless, not at all afraid of being completely herself. And this reminds me of what Suzuki Roshi would often say, Zen is Zen when you are you. Zen is Zen when you are you. Miaozong is fully herself, nothing holding back, naked and embodied. And this is our practice. Living in the modern Western world, we tend to be more head-centered. What is it to live in the body? To be embodied. Zazen body, as my teacher calls it, is grounded, settled, open, aware, unattached. Zazen body is alive with the rising and the falling of each breath. The body being breathed. The question, who's breathing? The posture of Zazen body is upright and at the same time rooted to the earth, growing towards the heavens. We sit with this broadening across the clavicles, the collarbones, open heart, soft, compassionate, allowing, accepting of everything. But Miaozong says to Wanan, who asked to enter her, horses may cross, but asses may not. So accepting doesn't mean without boundaries. Zazen body is both soft and compassionate, but also strong and fierce, like a dragon's roar. This is what Dahui called her when he said, the old dragon has some wisdom. Doesn't she? She has the wisdom of a dragon and the roar of a dragon. These mythical creatures, dragons, are depicted differently or have different meanings in different cultures. Western dragons are often depicted as fearsome, fire-breathing beasts. Chinese dragons symbolize power, good fortune, and strength. They were historically linked with imperial power. I think Miaozong brings the East and the West together. She says boldly, all the Buddhas of the three worlds, the six patriarchs, and all great monks everywhere come out of this place. Miaozong gives birth to all Buddhas throughout time and space. And you are Miaozong. I am Miaozong. We are all giving birth to Buddha. Every moment of our lives is a moment of awakening. With every breath, there is birth, there is death. We inhale, we exhale, we wake up, and we give birth to Buddha. Some would say that embracing her fertility, Miaozong embodies her femininity. But we know now that the definition of the feminine is much wider than we might have previously conceived. Certainly that's true for myself. I believe everyone has a womb space. Everybody is rich with fertility. What are you giving birth to in this moment, or in this chapter, in this phase of your life? Our creative potential, both expressed or not yet expressed, is boundless. Miaozong also teaches us that the lines that differentiate or divide us aren't real. She says that the Buddha Dharma isn't divided into male and female forms. Of course, the Buddha Dharma isn't divided into gay or straight, transgender or cisgendered, black or white, me or you. The Buddha Dharma knows no boundaries. The word that kept echoing through my mind as I wrote this talk was fearlessness. Fearlessness. This is an aspect of the first paramita, sometimes called the six perfections, sometimes called the six paramitas of the Bodhisattva path. The first one is the perfection of generosity, and there are three primary practices of generosity: the gift of material items, the gift of fearlessness, and the gift of the Dharma. And I've recently, in my own study of the paramitas, I've been studying them with my teacher, have taken on the practice of fearlessness, feeling into what that might mean in my life. Can I show up fully? Can I simply be myself? Do I have the courage to sit here this evening and share the Dharma as I know it? Can I meet you fully with an open mind and an open heart? Can I be naked before you? Do I have the courage to take responsibility for my mistakes, my weaknesses, my shortcomings? Can I openly share my strengths and my triumphs? Can I give up what's not mine? Can I let go? These are just a few ways I practice with fearlessness. How do you practice with fearlessness?